All right, welcome to Ready Made Fantasy Football. It is Wednesday, and we got a big game coming up tomorrow night. I am Charlie, your host, here with my illustrious, amazing, genius co-host, Mr. Michael Zimmerman. Mike, how we doing today?
What's up, Charlie? I'm doing pretty good. I'm just so happy that football is back, man. It's been so long. It's just great to have the season going.
I know it was amazing. This past Sunday was just. I remember I was sitting back and I was just thinking I was getting absolutely crushed in fantasy. I mean, I was going 1-4 last week in my 5 leagues, and I'm sitting there as I'm taking this beating of a lifetime. Okay, and I have a big smile on my face because I'm just so happy that fantasy football is back. That I didn't even care that I was getting my ass kicked. Didn't even matter. So what? Saquon Barkley, you lost your first-round pick, $61 of free agency budget. No big deal. Football's back, you know?
Yeah, man, I bet I'm definitely on that same boat. I mean, everybody's had to deal with injuries this week, but just the fact that we're able to get this season going, it just makes it all the better. So speaking of these injuries, man, I mean, wow. Like, what has happened what's with the turf? What's going on with everything? We've had so many significant people go down. I mean, we go with the 49ers against my Jets. I thought we had a chance, honestly, when Bosa came out, and then Raheem Mostert got injured, Jimmy G got injured, Simon Thomas injured. I mean, and it's crazy. Like, you take a look, too. Like, I mean, Saquon now, Christian McCaffrey. We got Devontae Adams, who's going to be missing time. The biggest blow for me, Courtland Sutton, dude. I loved Courtland Sutton this season, but
I have what's called the curse of the third-round pick. This has been plaguing me for a while now. So my earliest recollection of is 3 years ago when I took Jet McKinnon, third pick. He went down in the preseason. Okay,
that's right.
So I shook that one off. You know, I think I went on to the title game that year and I lost, maybe in the Super Bowl. I didn't win that league. Next year comes along, and I'm going to get cute and draft Antonio Brown in the third round. Well, we all know how that worked out. And this year, I'm in the last draft of draft season for me, which is my live draft at my cousin's house, bunch of guys there. And I'm watching these drafts the last couple of days where running backs are just flying off the board. And it's a keeper league. You keep one guy, but if he's your first-round pick, you sacrifice your seventh. So I went back and forth. Oh, man, I'm like – so I had Bobby Trees, Robert Woods, I would have been able to keep him in the 6th round, which would have gave me like 2-3 rounds of value, depending. But I'm like, look, Zeke is my boy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, facts,
I'm an eat Zeke, eat kind of guy. That's me. I love it. I love Zeke. So I said to myself, I really don't want to take the chance of losing Ezekiel Elliott. And my 7th round pick, as good as I've been at drafting in my past, it could be a throwaway pick. You know, it could be a throwaway pick. I mean, shit. Saquon Barkley's my first round. He's a throwaway pick now. So I went with Zeke. I went with the highest floor in fantasy football. And I'll tell you right now, if you took Zeke, you are sleeping like a baby because this guy is looking like a monster. I mean, he's catching the ball out of the backfield. And here's the scary part. Zeke got how many touchdowns taken away by Dak last week?
At least
how many rushing touchdowns did Dak have last week? Is this guy kidding me?
Listen, man, Dak knows it's a contract year. He's trying to do everything he can to please Jerry's world. He wants that 40 mil, so he's like, I'm going to take some food away from Zeke right now. I got to get my own plate I need to fill up.
I mean, I remember, and I watched this Now, I worked out this system because, I do have to, like, maintain some kind of remnants of a life occasionally on the weekends. So I have Red Zone on my iPad. So I'm driving home last night. I have it on my iPhone. I have my iPhone propped up Sunday, driving home from upstate New York on my sunglass visor,
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm looking at all these plays. Oh, we're down at the 1. The Cowboys are down here. And I'm thinking, Zeke already has a touchdown. This guy's going to end up with way more. Nope. Dak every single time. And did you see them fight and struggle? One of the RPOs, they both saw that they had the lane for the touchdown, and it was legitimately like this is my baby. No, it's my baby, my baby. It was one of those situations. I don't know if you saw that, but really weird. Never saw that in all my years watching football.
No, I didn't, man. But that sounds something like something that Zeke would probably pull off, though. I think Mike McCarthy's got to try to rein in the chains a little bit and try to remind everybody, like who's going to be top dog here. But you got two guys like Zeke and Dak. I think every time within 10 yards, it's always going to be a big what if or what's going to happen.
Right, exactly. I mean, I don't anticipate Dak doing that again. I think he's kind of trying to do a couple of things that are going to make him stand out. But like you said, I mean, look, it's all a mind. It's all a mind fuck. It's all psychological. Yeah, he wants to have big game. Oh, you don't think – let me tell you something. You don't think Dak Prescott is thinking about how he's the only quarterback to ever rush in – what was it, 3?
Yeah,
4?
3 rushing touchdowns.
It was 3? It was 3. He's the only guy to ever do that. And you know who's thinking about that? 2 people. Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones. Because he's like, I got to write a check. And he's like, I got to get a check. And nobody else gives a shit except for maybe Zeke, who, I could have had a bigger game out of Zeke. But listen, I'm not going to be a hater. I love Zeke. And he's the only one who, of the top 4 picks, is, well, depending on where you drafted or how you drafted. I mean, first round pick, Saquon, done. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Saquon has a horrible week 1. Okay. I was rushing for more yards than Saquon Barkley for half the game last year. Okay.
Exactly.
I was sitting on my couch.
Beer or something, right?
Yeah. Saquon had how many yards? 6?
I think it was about like 28 last time I checked, but
no, for week 1 he had 6 or 8 yards, and he got bailed out by a couple of passes. So I was already like, oh shit, I spent $61 on this guy. Now what do I do? And then week 2 he comes out, he gets injured, he comes back in the game, he gets injured again. I don't know if it's the turf. Obviously, a lot of players got injured, which logically would make me say, okay, maybe they have a problem at the Meadowlands. But I think there was other games there, and I don't think anyone else got hurt. Did the Jets play home games there already?
Yeah, that Giants, that actually the 49ers game against the Jets, that was the first home game that they had. And outside of Steelers Giants, those were the only 2 games at MetLife this year.
So, listen, I blame the equipment manager. I think you need to go out there. I think you need to test the field, and I think you need to put the proper equipment on your players. I mean,
absolutely, man.
Nick Post is done for the year.
So is Solomon Thomas. I mean, this 49ers defense is going to struggle.
And you look at their defense struggling. You look at Jimmy Garoppolo, high ankle sprain, okay? Yeah. He says, I might play. And I'll tell you a scenario. I'm playing a guy in a very deep league. I've won it at 2 out of 3 years. Auction league. Hit the nuts 2 years ago with my auction draft. I mean, I got Michael Thomas for like $20. I got Devontae Adams for like 7, Ertz for like 6. I mean, and you keep these guys.
Yeah.
So I won the first year. The second year I lost, but I got the most points. Third year I won again. So I'm sitting pretty, going into this league, and I draft Saquon early because I went for the studs and duds approach, which for those of you who don't know is in an auction league, you blow a majority of your wad on a couple of guys that you know that are going to be solid plays. So, for instance, I had my keepers, but I spent all of my budget on Saquon and Zeke, okay? My bench is absolutely horrendous, okay? So what do? I stock up with lottery tickets on my bench. I pick up Malcolm Brown, okay?
Good job. Yeah.
I pick up Mike Davis.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I pick up Justin Herbert. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? So now I'm sitting with a bunch of lottery tickets. Well, week 1, my first lottery ticket hits. Now, this particular league, the quarterbacks could score 75 to 100 points. You play 2 quarterbacks.
Okay.
I blew so much of my wad on Saquon and Zeke that I had nothing left to get a second quarterback. So now I'm playing against guys who are scoring 70 points, and I'm not getting that kind of from any of my positions. I only had Jared Goff. So I get Justin Herbert on a miracle, and what happens? Like we spoke about earlier, the injection, now Tyrod's out. So I stole the power from the Tyrod owner because there's no other quarterbacks. This is like a 14-team skank league. Like, 2 is taken. Stidham, like the backup for the fucking Patriots, is rostered. But there's no choice. But, like, for instance, once you lose a quarterback, you're screwed. So what do? I do more lottery tickets. My lottery tickets on that was Herbert, which I hit. Now, let's just talk. You are me, okay? You need a quarterback. There's nobody around, all right? Do a little test. It's going to be difficult, okay? On the spot, I'll put you. You need a quarterback. They're all healthy. What 2 quarterbacks are you picking up in hopes that the starter gets injured and you have a quarterback? Okay? On top of that, you basically have to factor in that you're eating up a roster spot. You want to get somebody who is kind of NFL caliber. So I'm gonna make it as easy for you as I can. The guys I picked up had starting jobs last year.
Okay.
And are playing behind a guy who's old enough to be your father.
Oh, man, you're talking about half a league right there. So let's see. 2 quarterbacks with starting experience. Knowing you
had starting jobs last year.
Okay.
Last year they had starting jobs. This year they don't. Doesn't mean one of them is a little bit more NFL caliber than the other, but these guys started in the NFL last year, okay? And their starter is a crickety old man at this stage of the game, who is – one of them is extremely accident-prone and prone to injury, okay? And the other one is really – I don't think has ever been injured in his entire life.
So I think I might know one of the guys. I'm
Who's
going
one?
to go out on a limb here and say one of these crickety old quarterbacks may happen to have 9 kids somewhere in Alabama.
Right.
And my guess would probably be Colts backup Jacoby Brissett for Old Man Rivers.
Right
down there.
And then one more. You got the hard one.
I know.
Now you're dealing with the easy one. Crickety old man, drama queen, never finishes the season in the past 3 years. His backup got smashed in the head with a helmet by Myles Garrett.
Mason Rudolph.
Exactly. So those were my lottery tickets that I had on my roster because, honestly, I mean, Ben could go down any day. I
Oh,
mean, you
absolutely.
know,
Especially after Tommy John surgery, man. I mean, the guy. Nobody knows how the guy's arm's gonna be after week 6.
I
I mean,
mean, the guy, the guy could go down any day. So I drafted in a league, the home league I was telling you about. We went hot and heavy. I think we kind of touched on this and we kind of went away from it. But I ended up pulling for Jonathan Taylor in the second round. So I reach a little.
wise move.
Okay?
Wise move.
So, well, here's the deal. I come in and I take Zeke, like I said, forfeit my 7th round pick. Comes back to me. There's a couple good wide receivers, but there's no really good running backs. Okay. Right. So I'm like, I have to take Jonathan Taylor. Now, in hindsight, it worked out great. Mm-hmm. Okay. But this is why you need to know who you're drafting against. The guy who drafts after me had a magnificent draft pick of Alvin Kamara in the 15th round like 4 years ago. Wow. So he has him in like the 9th now because it goes one below each year.
Exactly.
So, and he gets the first pick. So he starts off with Kamara and Saquon. Those are his 2.
Oh, my God, dude.
Comes to me, I take Zeke. By the time it comes back, I'm sitting there, and I'm about to go into he's about to have 2 picks. And he already has Saquon, and he already has Kamara. And I started thinking, if I was him, I would take Jonathan Taylor if it came to me no matter what, even if I had to. That's how I draft. Okay?
Exactly, man. You got to stockpile.
But not everybody drafts like that. And he didn't draft, and he probably wasn't going to draft like that. So whereas I should have taken DJ Moore, let him take Cortland Sutton and whoever else he took, and then let me get Jonathan Taylor on the way back, rather than me taking Jonathan Taylor, him taking DJ Moore and whoever the other guy was, and me taking Cortland Sutton. You know what I mean? So I ended up with an injured player in Cortland Sutton because, I mean, I tried my best, obviously, but, you know, I'm a fucking armchair quarterback. I'm upset because I think about the draft and I'm like, I don't think Frank would have took Jonathan Taylor. I don't even know if Jonathan Taylor was on his radar like that. You know what I mean? I don't even know if Jonathan Taylor was on his radar like that. So now I have Cortland Sutton. I'll tell you my lineup in that league. And this is how running back heavy I got towards the end of my drafts. Okay? Mm-hmm. Let's just do this. This will be fun.
Okay.
I'm going to give you my team on my first draft. Okay? Then I'm going to give you my team on my last draft. Okay?
Got it.
So my first draft, I drafted in, I think, about the 10 spot. My team is 0-2. Okay? Tom Brady, Kenny Drake, Joe Mixon, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Tyler Higbee, Tyler Boyd, whatever defense I pull in that year or that week, Swift, Moss, Edmonds, Lazard, Goddard, Brown, Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Bird, Jeff Wilson Jr., Armstead, and Azigbo on the waiver wire. I mean, on my IR. Okay?
Okay.
Then the last draft I did, Tom Brady, Zeke, Jonathan Taylor, Traquan Smith, Bird, Waller, Mike Davis, Sutton, Swift, Gibson, Pollard, Madison, Burrow, and Scotty Miller. A lot of these guys just showed up questionable. Apparently, Darren Waller's questionable now.
Really? I didn't know that.
I hope it's something very minor. Knee was listed as a non-participant in Wednesday's practice. as was Josh Jacobs, both expected to play. So I feel like I went so hard to think back on the picks when you look back. Like, do you know Diggs? I mean,
oh yeah.
How many times I passed on Diggs in the 5th, 6th round?
Dude, I did the same thing. I did not think that Josh Allen was going to have at least as big of a first 2 weeks. 400 yards against the Dolphins, bro. I mean, come on. Who would have thought that Diggs would also have over 100? I think it was like, what, 130 or so receiving yards too?
Oh, Jesus Christ. You get an affection for these guys. And, I'm looking at myself right now. I'm looking at the guys that took me to the chip last year. Okay? Steph Diggs, Zeke, Kelsey I had, John Brown. Okay? And these guys are doing well again, and I don't have them. And not having Steph Diggs. I'm such a Steph Diggs guy. I became a Steph Diggs guy years ago when I got him in a trade. I trade raped somebody. And I loved him ever since. I mean, he was just blow the fuck up for me. And he doesn't have games that, like, he has games that win you that week.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, I remember the first time I drafted Diggs was that 2016 season, right when Case Keenum came into town, and just, busted out. I see 56 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, then 83 yards the next week, almost 99 yards with 2 touchdown receptions, man. I mean, the guy who's able to find the end zone just works wonders in the open field. He's a fantasy darling for a reason. But
yeah,
I just didn't think with Allen there, with the accuracy, that's why I didn't like it. Because, again, with Cousins, I thought it'd be a little bit better off. But I guess after that Colts game, many people who went the Cousins market are starting to bang their heads on the wall.
Look, it ain't rocket science in Buffalo, okay? The guy has no accuracy. It's hard for me to say that with the weeks he's had, but he's not an accurate quarterback.
No,
okay?
Absolutely.
But he's got a hell of an arm.
Oh,
and who's the best deep guy threat aside of Deshaun Jackson, who only has it because he's been around for so long? But the best deep guy threat, or one of them in the NFL right now, is Steph Diggs. I mean, his ADOT is ridiculous. So
don't forget about John Brown, too. I mean, they got options. They want to throw deep.
Yeah, well, this is – and I love players that the team brought in and paid.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Who got brought in and paid this year? Melvin Gordon. Playing great, doing well. Okay? Steph Diggs. Playing great, doing well. It's not that hard to go, who's this team going to like? Is it going to like the guy that the other coaching staff brought in before us? Or is it going to be the guy that we just paid this much money for and we want to do well? Okay? These guys don't want to look like idiots. They don't want to bring in a guy and he shits the bed and looks like crap. And not for nothing, they'd rather have a guy that they chose do well than a guy that somebody else chose do well.
Exactly.
Because then you start turning into, oh wow, this maybe we let this guy go too quick. He sure know what the hell he was doing. I mean, not for nothing. Look at Cleveland this year. That GM is long gone, and I mean, they hit the buzzsaw with the Ravens, but at the end of the day, I mean, the offensive line looked good. I mean, they got 2 great running backs, 2 great receivers. A great tight end, a great offensive line, pass rushing, cornerback. I mean, and it's all going to be for someone. It's kind of like when Mark Jackson built.
Oh my God, dude, that is such a good
right.
Exactly.
Imagine Mark Jackson sitting back watching somebody else reap all the rewards of his hard work. Oh.
It's like that, what's it called, the Arthur meme with the clenched fist. You just see Mark Jackson and John Dorsey waiting back. It's just like, oh, my God, why didn't they let us finish the job?
I know. It's a shame. But, you got to look at your team, and if you have one injury that's bad, you got to look at yourself and go, wow. Like, look, I know that I could overcome losing, my third-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I could win it. You want to know why? Because last year, I lost to Antonio Brown. And last year, I won the chip. That's it.
Let's go,
You can't
dude.
give up. I'm 0-2 in a lot of my leagues. And a lot of other people might want to give up. They might want to go, you know what? It's over. But I'm not giving up.
Exactly, man. After 2 weeks, bro, the fight's still on. And actually, I got a funny story about that you mentioned with, again, with the Saquon Barkley injury. So one of my leagues, I drafted Saquon, first pick, second overall. And I'm looking back, and I went pretty wide receiver heavy. You know, I got Robert Woods. I ended up getting Kenny Golladay too. I think in round 3. I got Golladay round 2, and then Woods I got I think around the 6th round. And I'm looking at my running back position; it's pretty thin. 8th round comes along, and lo and behold, who happens to catch my eye? 2 days after he signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Leonard Fournette.
Leonard, yeah.
So now now with Barkley out, I'm gonna probably have him working with my 2 running backs with him and David McCourtney. David McCourtney from David Montgomery. From the Bears.
Yeah. Right.
I've liked David Montgomery, especially after that game last week against the Giants. Baby, did he go off?
Yeah, he went off against a bad Giants defense.
It's a good matchup.
It's a good matchup. And I mean, I'm not a David Montgomery guy, but I could be swayed, obviously. I feel, I guess the Tariq Cohen thing was a little annoying for a little while. I mean, they just paid Tariq Cohen, which isn't ideal. But I don't know. I don't mind him. He looks like he's doing well. He's just never been a blip on my radar screen, but I did see that play where he cut up field against the Giants, and that was pretty damn sweet. So after 2 weeks, who are you targeting? I mean, let's say hypothetically speaking, you were looking for trades. Who are the guys that you're targeting right now?
Well, I mean, speaking with a lot of the injuries, a couple of guys that come to mind right now for anybody in need of a running back, I think. One of the guys could be interesting is Joshua Kelly from the Los Angeles Chargers. I really like that. I mean, again, Austin Eckler is always going to be the guy in that running back committee, but I just want to throw some stats your way, Charlie. So with Joshua Kelly this year, he has 124 rushing yards, only 2 rushing touchdowns of the Los Angeles Chargers, averaging 3.5 yards per carry. Again, not great, but then you look at Austin Eckler's numbers through 2 games. Austin Eckler's 177 yards, no rushing touchdowns either. And so I think with Herbert taking over as quarterback, I think Anthony Lynn's going to want to make the job easier, so they'll lean on the run. And for wide receivers, one guy I'm starting to look a little bit more into is N'Keal Harry for the New England Patriots. I really like what Josh McDaniels has done on the offense, with Cam's looking pretty good. Again, it's definitely a risk, but I liked N'Keal. N'Keal Harry does have some promise. I think when he gets a little bit sharper with route running, and then tries to draw some of the attention away from Julian Edelman, he could find himself getting into the end zone for 1 or 2 weeks, I think.
Okay. So Patriots wide receivers, let's talk about them. N'Keal Harry's a big-bodied guy. We got Julian Edelman, obviously there, 34 years old, Old Faithful, had a great game last week, which is fine. And you say, okay, well, N'Keal Harry is a big guy, and Cam likes to throw to big guys. They brought in a lot of big guys over his, years as the Carolina quarterback. Who's the fat mess they had? I can't remember his name right now. Last year, the braided guy used to be on the Bills. Come on.
Oh, Kelvin Benjamin.
Kelvin Benjamin, big-bodied guy, big-bodied receiver, had a great year. If you remember one year.
Oh yeah, dude, his rookie season, he went off. Then he got injured right before the Super Bowl run, and then he missed that year.
You're looking at those three guys, but here's how I'm thinking about it. Okay, Julian Edelman, you have to draft him. Okay, I'm not going to draft him. 2 years ago I drafted him, and it worked out well for me, but I'm not going to draft him. Then you got N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry just went on waivers in one of my leagues for like $27, $30. Okay? Which, out of a $200 free agency budget, to me is insane.
No, yeah, that's way too much.
But your boy swoops in and grabs Demir Bird.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
For $1 American dollar. Okay?
What?
A guy who's playing 70% of the snaps has just as much chance as N'Keal Harry of seeing that football, okay? Mm-hmm. And is one injury away from, who knows, top 20, 30 back, a top 20, 30 wide receiver. And this is a guy you're getting off the scrap heap, and it's a guy you're getting off the scrap heap for $1. I picked him up in every league,
Charlie, we're going to have to stop the podcast right now because you just committed highway robbery. I got to alert you to the authorities, man. I hope you know it's cool.
Amber alert. Amber alert. But he's a guy that, if you need a little wide receiver help, I don't hear too many people pumping him up, swooping on the cheap for $1, and you grab him, Another guy who should be who is looking good and should be coming off injured reserve pretty soon is Damian Harris. And luckily for us, it doesn't look like anyone has really stepped up and kind of grabbed the bull by the horns in that backfield. And, you're going to have Cam. He's going to vulture a lot of touchdowns, and that's going to be an issue. And you always have the, we got, what's his name? White dude. I don't know why I can't remember anyone's name right now. Rex Burkhead. We got James White, who had the family issue.
Sonny Michel.
We got Sony Michel. But this guy, Damon Harris, not for nothing, before he got hurt, he was racking up all the carries in the backfield. So, and let's just give a big shout out to Cam. This guy, he's been so disrespected for so many years, mainly because he's a little flamboyant, and maybe a lot has to do with the fact that, he really didn't, I guess, go for that fumble in the Super Bowl as hard as people would have liked to him. But I'm happy for him, man, that he's doing so well, and he's just looking for respect. And I don't know if you saw his tweet, but he said, listen, Mike, I don't even care about the money at this point in my career, And you could tell that by his contract. His contract's all incentive-based. He just wants respect. Just wants the respect. And I'm glad he's doing well. I really am. But his counterpart on the other half, Tom Brady, he's looking very human. And I honestly hope that he really hasn't messed with his legacy because, he's in – it was all Belichick territory right now.
Yeah, listen, I had such high hopes for this pairing with Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, but when you look back at a guy like Bruce Arians, you think of the quarterbacks he coached. Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer, Big Ben. All these guys were deep ball throwers. Arians loved to spread it down the field, and it's just with Tom – I think it's just too late arm strength-wise to really get the most out of that wide receiver talent because, again, I still say that this Buccaneers wide receiver group is one of the best in the league with Evans, Godwin, Scotty Miller really impressing people.
How about Scotty Miller last week? Oh, God. I tried to outsmart fantasy football last week. And, God, I don't even know.
It's okay.
I started Scotty Miller in every league, and I just
what? You started him every league, dude?
I just want to tell you this one thing, and we're just never going to talk about this again afterwards. Promise me we'll never talk about this again.
Promise. Scout's honor.
Last week, in the last minute, I feel I'm going to have to take a shower after I tell you this. Last week, in the last minute, I took out Stephon Diggs and I put in Scott.
Charlie, this is an intervention. We're all here for you. We all support you.
Oh, God. Man. Why am I trying to outsmart fantasy football? Why did I think, you got to ask yourself something when you're making a lineup decision. You got to ask yourself this. If I played this game 10,000 times with Scotty Miller, and I played this game 10,000 times with Stephon Diggs, who would score more points more of the time? And the answer is fucking Stephon Diggs.
Absolutely.
So why the hell? I could have sworn. And you know what? Listen, I can't. I thought he was going to get a touchdown. And not for nothing. Hit off his fingertips. He got the end zone. He got the end zone target. He rolled off. He dove. It went through his fingertips. He fell to the floor. So that's that. If he gets that touchdown, and you want to know what the real sad part is, unfortunately?
What?
Even if he got that touchdown, Steph Diggs outscored him by like 22 points. So it's like, and he did it. But if he did, it still would have been, an absolute horrible move. So I learned my lesson with that.
So for this week, I was debating. I had a similar conundrum, but it was for my flex. I was down to Allen Lazard, TJ Hawkinson, and Leonard Fournette. Out of the three, I went with Allen Lazard because I had Saquon, and I also had what's called, again, a poor move on my part, but Mark Ingram.
So you had Lazard, Ingram. Who else?
Mark Ingram and Saquon Barkley was
Fournette.
my starting backfield for running back. And then wide receivers were Mike Gallup, Robert Woods, QB Matt Ryan, and Darren Waller's my tight end. But here's the thing. The guy I played against this week had Calvin Ridley and also happened to have had what's it called? Sorry, just give me a second here. TJ McLaurin. I lose that game by 3 points because Saquon Barkley only got me 2.8 points that entire week. Dude.
Not surprised.
Darren Waller's big game. I was like, what's going on?
That's just, I mean, look, we're still early in the season. I've been 0-4 and won the chip.
Really? Impressive, sir.
More than once.
Damn.
And part of it's been, and I've had some negative regression. And for those of you who don't know what negative regression is Travis Kelce the beginning half of last year and Travis Kelce the second half of last year. That's right. Negative regression. Travis Kelce had some solid games, but he was not performing in the beginning of the season like you would have wanted your second-round pick to perform, okay? Around week 8 or 10, I approached the Kelce owner, and he, at that stage, had Sony Michel, who was awful. He was just absolutely thin at running back. Now, I had Austin Eckler, as well as Melvin Gordon. So I knew that Austin Eckler's shares were like skyrocketing. But I also knew that they were going to kind of come back down to earth when Melvin Gordon got back.
Right.
I knew he was decimated at running back. I knew that one running back really wasn't going to do the trick. Now, him and I had done a trade earlier in the year where he kind of had thrown in Kenyon Drake as a kind of like a throw-in.
Yeah.
Because Kenyon Drake was having his typical season at that stage of his career. When he gave me like John Brown and Kenyon Drake for, I couldn't even tell you who. It's not somebody I was real high on. So I had already had like the extra throw-in of Kenyon Drake. So now it came time for me to look for Kelsey. I knew we needed 2 running backs. I traded him back Kenyon Drake, and I traded him Austin Eckler.
Okay.
Kept Melvin Gordon and had Zeke still. Okay? And then took a position that I was absolutely horrible at and inserted Travis Kelce. Okay?
Okay.
So now I'm already one of the top contenders. I was having a good year because I had Austin Eckler. I end up getting to the first round bye. So now I'm in the first round bye. Now, in this particular league, every single dollar is accounted for, meaning you cannot add a player with $0.
Right.
I blow my whole wad, I think, on DeAndre Washington at the end of the year. I think I need to know. It's like whatever. Blow my whole wad on him. Go in. I only have one defense. And it's week 1 for me, the second week of the playoffs. And I'm coming off my bye week. And I've got the Jets defense.
Oh, okay.
Jets defense playing the Ravens. So now I can't pick up another defense.
Yeah.
And I have to figure out, am I going to, A, start the Jets and risk negative points, or B, not start a defense? Well, I didn't start a defense that week.
Wow.
And it worked out because the Jets ended up at negative points. So these decisions down the stretch and kind of like knowing your rules, knowing where your strengths are, looking at people's teams, looking at what their needs are, okay? Oh, this guy has a slim chance to make a playoff run if I give him 2 running backs. And that's why I always like to be strong in running back. You know, I always like to have, for me, the team that drafts the most running backs is a team that's going to win the Super Bowl. That's how I've always thought. And I'm going up against a guy, you know, one of the guys in my league, his wide receivers are Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Mike Evans, maybe?
Damn, dude. That is a fucking trio.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I look at him and I go, wow, damn, he's 2-0 right now. But his running backs, he's an injury away from decimation.
Yeah.
You know? And I just want to give you an example, okay? Drafted 5 running backs in the first 6 picks.
Right. Wow.
Okay? Left myself extremely thin at wide receiver by only drafting Cortland Sutton. Okay? Cortland Sutton gets hurt.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. I have Swift starting.
Okay.
I have Zeke. I have Jonathan Taylor. I have Darren Waller. I have Tom Brady, who's easily interchangeable. And I have no wide receivers. So you go, oh, wow. Charlie has no wide receivers. Guess what? All those teams that drafted heavy wide receivers, now they need running backs. So they're going crazy. They're bidding like fucking crazy for these running backs. Okay? And when you pick up a player, what do you need to do? You need to drop a player.
Yeah.
Guess who's on the waiver wire right now? And granted, but my 2 wide receivers in a league where I drafted 1 wide receiver in the first 6 rounds and he's gone. I have Traquan Smith, who's going to be good for at least another week or 2 until Michael Thomas gets back.
Oh, okay? Yeah, definitely.
And I have Damiere Byrd, which we discussed earlier. On top of that, on the waiver wire, Russell Gage, Jarvis Landry, Laviska Shenault. So, and I only have 2 spots to fill. So let's say I didn't have Traquan, and let's say I didn't have Bird. Fine. Either I am on the waiver wire bidding on these because these guys are going to go for $1. Dude, I'm going to pick up Jarvis Landry tomorrow for $1. I'm going to pick up Gage tomorrow for $1.
Again, that's the best move, man. I mean, especially with Cleveland starting to get a little bit more run heavy. I think that opportunity is going to open up for Landry and Russell Gage, dude. I've been a fan of this kid because I'm just loving the offense from the Falcons. I mean, again, the defense is a whole nother goddamn story, but so long as Matt Ryan's the quarterback, you know those wide receivers are going to put up points in bunches.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you look at draft strategies, Mike. You look at them, and you look at the players, and you look at where they went, and you look at the guy who drafted Patrick Mahomes in the 2nd and 3rd round, and you look at the guy who drafted Lamar Jackson in the 1st and 2nd round. And history, it tells you, okay, that guy is never going to do what he did last year. And guess what? There's going to be a guy at the end of the fucking draft who's going to do what that guy did. That guy's looking like Josh Allen. Okay? 8th, 9th, 10th round when you picked him. Okay?
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, 7th, 8th round when you picked him. These guys are killing it. Mahomes is not in the top 10 right.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Jackson is not in the top 10 right. Look at the guys you could have drafted in the 2nd, 3rd round. Jonathan Taylor, I don't know. Maybe you got a guy like, you got Calvin Ridley later, but I don't know. Maybe you have Allen Robinson instead. Maybe you have Juju Smith-Schuster instead.
DK
Maybe
Metcalf
you have
like
DK Metcalf. Maybe you have Carson instead. Maybe you have okay. And no, this guy's well, I had to draft Patrick Mahomes early. Okay? Fine. But the cream rises to the top. And when I looked back, listen, I get a little boner when I see Lamar Jackson and he's the best available player. And I'm thinking in my head, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want this guy. This will be so much fun. This guy scores 30 points a game. I need him. Every team I looked back and I stayed with my same strategy. And again, I don't want to win fantasy football games in September. I'm okay winning them. I'd like to win a few. But I want to win fantasy football games in December.
Exactly, man. You got to keep yourself focused on the big trophy. You got to figure yourself focused for the playoffs too, man. And one thing that I like to do, especially right before with draft strategy, I think the most underrated aspect, you got to pay attention to each team's offensive line. You got to see some of the moves that they're going to do because regardless, even if it's just protecting the quarterback or not, you got to see the team who's most stacked with protection to put up points. So for me, that's why I would try to go with a guy like instead of going with somebody like AJ Green, I'd go for a lesser wide receiver, somebody like a Russell Gage, only because I trust that Matt Ryan will be more protected and then potentially opening up opportunities for that offense instead of just going with, well, I mean, years before Andy Dalton and trusting him to stay healthy behind a questionable offensive line. I just think it's another underrated aspect. You allow yourself to find some nice little pieces here and there.
Yeah, I mean, offensive. I think a lot of this season really just kind of boiled down to continuity. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of this is just going to boil down to which units have been doing it for the longest, which teams were best set to come out with no preseason and just play football. And I think we're seeing those teams do well. And I think we're seeing a lot of the teams that didn't have that continuity kind of fall a little flat. Not that they won't turn it around, but you know, you look at a team that doesn't have any significant changes, and more than likely they're doing better than new head coach. I mean, new offensive coordinator. All these kind of things are really taking its toll. I've seen. I mean, everybody who's been together looks pretty good. I'll tell you, who doesn't look great though, and I guess we were bound for this to happen. Is Drew Brees?
Oh, dude. It's one of
Ugh.
the saddest things. Listen, losing Mike Thomas is one thing, but the guy's 40. The offensive line, it still holds up, but the arm strength just isn't there. And I was listening, Steve Young was talking about this on the Michael Kay show. For a quarterback, he's the last person to notice that his arm strength is gone. Everybody else can notice it beforehand, but it's one of those things where you don't believe it. Not that I don't like if you have one of these Saints wide receivers, be it Traquan Smith, Mike Thomas, or even Emmanuel Sanders, but it's just, do you trust that Drew Brees' arm strength will be good enough to at least throw guys open and get you the production that you need? And honestly, I'm questioning it. I know it's wrong, but it's just
Well,
the guy's getting
I
old.
don't. I listen. He's undersized. He's a legend. Okay. I always liked Drew Brees. My thing with Drew Brees this year is there's no pop on the throw. And on top of that, you kind of see when you can't throw 7-yard slants to Michael Thomas every play.
Exactly.
It's difficult, and you're not going to see a bomb. You're not. What you will see is a lot of what we have seen, which is passes to Kamara. I mean, Kamara is going to have. I thought it was over. Like I thought his best football was behind him. I don't know if it is. And I was as scared as anyone. Not that I've had an opportunity to draft him, but wow. I mean, this guy is playing, and it's because where else is Drew Brees going to throw the ball? He can't throw it downfield. He's got to throw it. He's got to throw it. So, Kamara's going to have a big year. I think if I could do it over again, takeaways from the draft. I would have drafted Deontay Johnson a lot earlier. He was on my radar. He was going late. I wasn't getting him. DK Metcalf. Oh, God. I wish I had more shares of him. Jonathan Taylor, I have a lot of shares of. I loved him. Obviously, right now, Cam Akers wasn't looking like the hottest pick. But, again, I drafted him for the end of the year, not the beginning. If you got DeAndre Hopkins, you're fucking shitting on a magical toilet bowl because this guy is unreal. I mean, he's just – and, I'm such an idiot because I don't know what it was. I never kind of hopped on the DeAndre Hopkins train. And I think it's because my perception of him was always Andre Johnson's, like, second. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I had difficulty viewing him as a one, and then I just kind of always stayed away. And when I don't even want to look back on the draft in our league because I think DeAndre Hopkins may have been there still when I picked up Julio Jones. I doubt it, but if that's the case, I mean, I don't even think Julio is going to play this week, and I know Travis Kelce was in there. I know he was. And I said, go with the stud. Stay away from Kelsey this year. And just, oh, man. Now you got Julio looking like crap. Hamstring injury. Might not even play this week.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Gage is looking better than him. Calvin Ridley is just looking like a stud. I mean, and I have no shares of Calvin Ridley. Nothing. 0.0.
Nada? Zip? Zilch? Zero? None?
None. And it's upsetting because, what was he? 4th, 5th round pick?
Yeah, 5th round.
But what about Deontay Johnson?
Dude.
What a beast.
I could have drafted him in one of my other leagues, and I felt
like the 8th round.
Dude, I'm telling you. I mean, I liked the guy last year. I just wonder, again, how good – if had Ben stayed healthy, what kind of production he could have put up last year. I mean, especially with dealing with Duck Hodges and freaking Mason Rudolph.
Here's the problem, though. You thought, Juju's the guy over there. But he's not.
Oh, no, definitely.
Juju's
more of a number 2. I mean, there. I've said that for a while.
I guess so. And Deontay Johnson, listen, not for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about a team that knows their shit when it comes to wide receivers? Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers because they know their shit.
Oh, dude.
I mean, you're talking about Hines Ward.
Santonio Holmes.
Santonio Holmes.
Lynn Swann.
All right. You're talking about guys who Antoine Randall was pretty good for them for a little. They had
Plaxico Burress.
Burress for another one before he went to the Giants. Unbelievable. You got now. I mean, James Washington. He's above. What about this guy Claypool?
Dude, Chase Claypool is I was so mad the Jets didn't get him in the draft. I would have loved to have seen this guy in Game Green. He's massive too, man. I mean,
he's their 4th option.
He's built like a tight end, but he's got such great breakaway speed, dude. It's ridiculous.
Did you see that pass this week?
But dude, listen, I got one that's worse, man. I felt so bad. I got freaking Carson in our league. I drafted Carson Wentz, and I could have had the chance to probably get Gardner Minshew. Dude, can we talk about Minshew Mania for a bit right now? Because I am loving what he's doing in Jacksonville after these first 2 weeks.
Listen, Gardner Minshew, man. I had him last year. I picked him up off waivers in my 2 QB league, the real deep one. And I like his personality. A lot of the guys that I had a lot of trust in that I kind of look to I'm always cautious of how they feel about certain players. They weren't real high on him, but the proof was in the pudding. He did well. I think he's just one of these positive attitude, awesome guys who is taking his just positivity into his football career. Like he's almost a better person or energy than he is football player, but damn, I mean, he's doing well. I don't know how many games they're going to win, but it's not going to be because of him.
Oh,
it's
definitely, man.
I'll tell you who I'm worried about, though. DJ Chark.
Oh, yeah, dude. I don't think it's so much for anything that DJ's done. It's just that Gardner's been focused on working with Keenan Cole because he's been the most targeted receiver in that Jaguars offense. And I guess with like Jay Gruden too, like they're definitely going more pass heavy, which I love. And so I think that Jay Gruden kind of installing a more quarterback friendly system has definitely helped out Gardner a lot.
Yeah, well, they're I just hope DJ Chark isn't like I hope he could just pick it up a little bit because now you got Chenault. I don't know. I'm hearing, he's a big, huge, strong guy. He's a slot receiver. I don't know. if he's going to take away that much. You got Cole, who's been just Cole's like last year's Chark, if you think about it, coming out of nowhere. And even the Jags. So the Jags are on tomorrow night against the Dolphins. Is really what we're gonna see.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully Chark comes out. I mean, Chark against the Dolphins. If he doesn't have a big game tomorrow, who do you got in that game? Who do you think's gonna win?
At this point, I think I'm going to ride the momentum. I'm going with Jaguars over Dolphins. I think Gardner's going to have probably 2 passing touchdowns, I think. I
Byron
just
Jones on Miami is out. Okay, their safety is out.
Mm-hmm.
Clayton Fitzgerald. Their Jacksonville center is out. Kicker is out. Josh Lambo is out. Okay. DJ Chark is that's the problem. DJ Chark, questionable chest back. That's his problem. He's fucking hurt. He's playing through an injury. Chest back. I guess if you're going to look at that game, who do I like in this game? Who do I like at quarterback? First of all, the banter between Fitzpatrick and Gardner Minshew is
unbelievable,
like
man.
Yeah, it's
mustache versus the beard.
Whose facial hair is better? All right. If I'm going to break it down, well, we could do a little exercise, which might be fun, and it's kind of like fantasy to reality. Okay.
Exactly.
Which quarterback would you rather have, Gardner Minshew or Fitzpatrick?
As of right now, it's Gardner. I mean, he's been on fire. He went 19 for 20 against a questionable Colts defense, yes, but he still threw 3 passing touchdowns going up against a tough Titans pass rush. So I don't think the Dolphins have a better pass rush than Tennessee. So that's why I'm leaning more towards Gardner.
I am going to, for the sake of not going with the same player, I'm going to go with Fitzpatrick. I think it's a push, honestly. I think once we break down the weapons that they're both dealing with, it's going to kind of enlighten us. But Fitzmagic is a guy for me who could go out and throw 5 touchdowns or throw 5 picks. But if he throws 5 touchdowns, they're most likely winning that game. So let's look to the weapons. Okay. At tight end, who are you working with on Jacksonville? Jacksonville's tight end. Do we even know who he is? I mean,
it's Tyler Eifert, who was from what they picked up after spending his career in Cincinnati. Yeah,
it is Tyler Eifert.
Yeah,
he's on Jacksonville. See, I didn't even know.
I think it was like a 2-year deal. I'm pretty sure, but
he's a non-factor to me. So if I'm gonna go Tyler Eifert or Mike Gesicki, I think Mike Gesicki is far and away. I mean, this guy, Mike Gesicki, how do I not? I don't get this guy in any leagues, and he's a guy I was targeting, a guy who lines up in the slot, a guy who had 100-plus yards. I mean, this guy is a beast, and I don't have him in any leagues. It makes me sick. He's amazing. He's damn good.
Totally underrated. Absolutely.
So now he's coming off a huge game. All right. So advantage-wise right now, tight ends, Fitzmagic's got a better tight end than now let's go to wide receiver. Preston Williams is going to play. He's pretty good. Is he as good as Jacksonville's wide receivers right now? I mean, Cole is pretty damn good right now, statistically. Chenault, I guess we'll see. I don't even know if Devontae Parker is going to play. I think he was questionable.
Let me check. I think you're right. Let's see if there's any update on Devontae Parker now. Apparently, yeah. Latest injury report has Devontae Parker a full go for tomorrow's game against Jacksonville.
Okay, so, and what about which defense? I mean, whose defense is better? I think they both absolutely suck.
Oh, no, they're horrible, especially with Jack. I mean, if it was for me, I'm leaning slightly more towards Miami only because they have, even though they got blown up by a talented Bills, wide receivers last week, I still like the combination of Xavier Howard, Byron Jones out there in the secondary. So I think it's going to cause some problems, but both these guys just have such bad pass rush. I just don't know if they're going to be able to get to the quarterback.
And the game is where? It's in Jacksonville. So the whole
Duval.
the 7-hour drive from Miami to Jacksonville. I guess I'm going to go – wow. I mean, who is the best player on both of these offenses is really what I want to know. That is such a hard question. Who is the best player on both of these offenses? I don't think there is one. I think it's a push. I think it's a wash. I mean, there is no wide receiver that is so much better on Miami than there is on Jacksonville. These quarterbacks are pretty even, okay? So then you look to the defenses, and the defenses both suck. Who's the best player on both these teams?
Well, right now –
Not on each of them. Who is the one best player? If you took all the players on both of these teams, who's the best player?
Well, I think the best player right now is going to be chilling as the backup in Miami because I think for me it's Tua. But he's not going to probably see some action.
The best player on the active roster. Best player is going to be playing.
But for me, right now, I'd say DJ Shark. DJ, if he wasn't injured.
He's not. He's not.
I guess I don't want to be one of those guys and
be that way because I can't think of a player who's the best on either one of their teams. Their running backs, no one have noticed. Their wide receivers are all pushes.
Oh, it's garbage. It's such
Who's
garbage.
Got the better? You know
backs.
What it is? Who's got the best offensive line?
If we're going offensive line, then I think it's probably going to end up being Miami. I just think that there's too many question marks, especially with the center for Jacksonville being out. I think Miami's going to have an easier time protecting.
Then Miami's going to win the game.
I don't know. I mean, again, it makes sense, but I just can't. I'm not going to go against Minshew Mania.
Who's the best player?
I know, but I mean, listen, Keenan Cole's is going to get open. I think you're going to see maybe Minshew might throw a pick or
Who's
two.
the best defender on Miami?
Well, best defender in Miami, I think, is probably Xavier Howard, I think. So, I mean, having him in the secondary is going to cause some problems.
It's Miami. If you think Miami has the best, and we're talking logically, like, and again, does football and logic always coincide? No, but who has the best player? Who has the better offensive line? Miami and Miami. Who's the home team? Jacksonville. Is there going to be any fans in the stands? No. So, and they ain't traveling too far. Now, would I bet on this game? Not in a million years.
Oh, no.
But if you said, Charlie, it's life or death, choose one, it's going to have to be definitely Miami. Because they have just as good a team. I guess they have a better team if you think their offensive line is better and they have the best player, okay? I guess we'll see tomorrow.
I get what you're saying, but I'm still sticking with Jacksonville. It's just
what's the score?
Okay. With Josh Lambo out for Jacksonville, I got Jaguars 24, Dolphins.
If you say the same exact point total that I have, I'm going to fucking shit myself.
Miami, I think it's going to be 17. I'm going 24.
Me to you,
17.
dirty fucking bastard.
Bro, I'm in your brain.
I swear to God, Oh wow, that's crazy. I was gonna say 24-17 Miami.
Well, that's why we work. That's why we got the show together. We're thinking on the same wavelength.
Why we work together, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. God, I could talk about this all night, man. I could really just talk about fantasy football all night. What are we up to time-wise?
I think we're about like almost an hour and a half in. I think, dude. We've been going for a while.
Okay. Yeah. So let's wrap it up now.
Any parting shots, Charlie? You want to go up?
Yeah, I just want to basically say it's good. It's good to have football back. It's good to be talking to you, my good friend, about fantasy football, and it's a fun thing. And as much as I got my ass handed to me last week, I mean, I got Tyrod and Taylor last week. You know, they just shoved it in too deep, and
just all the way in, bro. Just bite the pillow.
they just left me inactive. You know, but this week, positive regression. This week, I'm gonna win 4 out of 5 of my games. Okay. And good things are going to happen as far as my team's going to stay healthy. And if they aren't healthy, I'm going to have the depth to replace those guys. Sounds good. I look at all these injuries and you look at all these things, and if you listen to the show or, whoever you're listening to, if you're right now sitting thinking about fantasy football, you're way ahead of a lot of the other people in your league. And as much adversity as you may face in fantasy, you're better prepared than 90% of the guys in your league. So if you think it's hard for you, imagine what they're going through. Imagine the guys who don't listen to the show. Imagine the guys who don't study. Imagine the guys who aren't thinking about this on Wednesday. Imagine the guys who don't even realize that Jimmy Garoppolo might not play because he's got a high ankle sprain and haven't picked up Nick Mullins. And there's no one on the waiver wire. And they're waiting until Friday to see what's going on. And, guess what? Shit went down on Tuesday, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Shit went down on Wednesday.
You already missed it, baby.
Your player is gone, my G. Mike Davis is on my team. Darrell Henderson is on his team. Russell Gage is on his team. You know who you're picking from? I don't know, because I picked up my waivers days ago. So any shit that goes down, if you're listening, you're the utmost prepared as you could be, and that's all you could do. It's not about the trees, it's about the forest. So that being said, we'll be back tomorrow. Let's do another one tomorrow.
Sounds good, man.
Let's get it pumping. Let's talk about who we picked up on waivers tomorrow, and get a nice. I think we segued a lot into this game, but we can start talking about the games that are going to happen on Sunday and what we're anticipating, and we'll just keep it pumping.
Sounds good, my man. And before we go, again, Charlie, always great to chat with you. I just want to say this. Unfortunately, the NFL, we lost a legend today. Chicago Bears icon Gale Sayers, NFL Hall of Famer, has passed away at 77 years old. I mean, an incredible career for 6 years. Guy made first-team All-Pro 5 consecutive years, 4-time Pro Bowler, led the league in rushing twice in the 1960s. Even Dick Butkus said he was one of the hardest guys to block. Youngest guy ever in the NFL Hall of Fame at 33. And dude made an impact. R.I.P. to a legend. Charlie, sorry to end on a sad note. Hopefully, Mitch Tremaine is going to be able to bust it open on Thursday. But always great to talk to you, man. Can't wait to get the next episode going.
Yep, awesome, man. And for all of you at home, we appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, later, guys.
Later.
Peace.
Cool.
Great.
So
dude,
that was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Definitely.
We had a lot of info in there, and everything flowed. That was easy.